You're playing in the big game on tour.
Playing tomorrow, yep. That'll be the biggest game of my life.
Is there anyone in particular you're not looking forward to playing with?
Alexander Wolfgang is a professional poker player who combines his poker skills with content creation to create engaging videos for his massive community of followers. Wolfgang Poker was the first poker vlogger to surpass 1 million subscribers.
The persona that people see online, the Wolfgang that they see online, versus the one that exists offline, is there a difference between the two?
I mean,
when was the last time you had a bad day?
when my dad died.
How long ago was that?
It's my emotions. 3 months ago.
You said that you were able to parcel out those emotions, put them to the side. Do you ever find doing that actually hurts you?
I think that's something that has become muted.
Why do you think that's so uncomfortable for you?
The reason I bottle a lot up, at least with my friendships, is I want to...
Firstly, welcome to Gents Talk.
Thank you.
We're here in Las Vegas at the North American Poker Tour with Poker Stars. And when I found out that I was going to be chatting with you, I saw Wolfgang Poker, and everyone just called you Wolfgang. And then when I looked you up, it was Alexander.
Yeah.
And then when you came in the room, hey, I'm Alex.
Yeah.
So let's start there.
It's kind of like an embodiment of my entire life. Like, I don't know what's going on. No one knows what's going on. I'm always all over the place. But yeah, my mom calls me Alexander, or on my Ukrainian side, they call me Sasha. But we're not going to add more into the mix here. Poker people know me by Wolfgang. It is my middle name, so I'm not a complete phony here.
Okay.
I'm not like an Odd Future, Tyler the Creator guy. But yeah, Alexander for people outside of poker. People call me by my last name. When I was in a fraternity in college, they call me Siped. Whatever sticks. But usually in poker, I just go by Wolf or Wolfgang because it has that ring to it. And like in poker, there's like these wait lists, and the thought behind it before I had my channel was just use my middle name, because when there's 10 Alexes on the board, but there's only one Wolf, I'll know when to go up and get my seat. So it's kind of the idea there.
And how long have you been playing poker now?
Well, actually trying for like 5 years, ever since I started my channel. My first hand of poker played, I was like 12 years old in Chicago with some of my friends, and I was hooked ever since.
Okay, so let's maybe go back a second then. For people who know you just by what they see online and in poker tournaments, who's the man sitting in front of me right now?
This, like from other people's perspective?
No, from your perspective, who are you?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just a fun-loving guy. I love to gamble. I don't take anything too serious. I'm never too high, never too low. I'm kind of just always in the middle. Always trying to seize the moment. I love like sports of all kinds, soccer, skiing. I picked up surfing when I was in college.
You played soccer at one point too.
Yeah, I played the Chicago Fair Academy in Chicago, and I thought I would go like not semi-pro, but I definitely thought I'd play all 4 years at college. Didn't really get into the schools that I wanted to, like USC, and I did some of like the Ivy Leagues on the East Coast. Stanford was a big one I wanted to go to for soccer. So then I went to Pepperdine and just played club all 4 years.
Did you ever want to pursue it like professionally? Like, was that the thing for you?
I think growing up, that was definitely the thing, was to pursue it professionally. But as I got older and I realized other kids were way more talented and like had a better build, were taller, all that kind of stuff, I kind of realized that I should probably go in a different direction. And also sometimes when you put like, I've noticed it with poker too, like when you put your all into what you want to do or you think you want to do, sometimes you lose a little bit of lust for it. And I realized with like trying to be the best at soccer, I was doing too much where it just became more of a job and less of like what I actually love. So with poker too, it's kind of a cool thing because I have this balance with like YouTube and poker. So when I only play 2 times a week, I never get burnt out from poker and I can create the videos. Whereas if I was grinding tournaments and cash 7 days a week, which I did a few years ago as a trial, just was not the move for me. I was losing the interest in going in every day and like playing.
I've heard professional athletes talk about that very thing where, when the off season, it's the off season. They're not practicing, they're not training necessarily, because if they do that, then they lose that lust for the game. They lose the passion for it.
Yeah.
They no longer want to do it. And now, like, to your point, it's a job.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come to that conclusion? Because a lot of people will dive headfirst into something thinking, I got to get better. I got to get better. I got to get better. And it's all they do.
Yeah. So with soccer, it was pretty easy. I just realized I wasn't going to be a Messi, right? Or like my idol, David Beckham, like was not going to be him. So I knew I needed to pivot. I always was going to play club and like pick up and stuff. And it's good exercise. So I wanted to keep that going. But in terms of poker, right when I graduated college, I kind of went all in on poker, and not the content creation side. It was more just like trying to play for a living to pay all my bills. And it worked out in the short term, but I realized pretty quickly I was getting a little bit burnt out. So that's when I started meeting some of my friends like Rampage, and I started watching more like Andrew Nemi videos. And I started my own channel. I realized there could be down the line a cool hybrid of making content like 40 hours a week and playing poker 20 as opposed to 60 and 0. Yeah.
Do you find the content part gets tiring? Constantly having to think about, okay, I got to record this, I got to produce this, I got to put this out. Getting caught in the numbers of it all. I mean, we're mainly how many subscribers now?
1.5 million.
Okay. So congrats, by the way. That's a huge number.
Thank you.
When you get to that level, though, you're constantly thinking, how do I get that to 2?
Yeah.
2.5.
But that's the fun of it for me, at least. I mean, I love what I do, and I hope it shows in my videos, and I think it does. I just love posting content. When I don't post like a vlog for like 10 days, it eats me up inside. I'm like, I want to get more out. That could kind of touch on the point you're trying to make, which is like, is it too much? Is there all this competitive thing? Like, oh, someone posted, I got to post. They have a video that hit X amount of views. I need to do better and hit another one. Right. That does get a little bit annoying sometimes, but as long as you take a step back and you're like, okay, I'm blessed. I really like what I do, and I don't really care how many views it gets or how often I post or what people are saying about me in the comments, then it's just really a fun thing. And it's a machine that keeps on going. And opportunities like this, we're here with Poker Stars playing in a massive game tomorrow. That's going to help fuel the brand and the channel as well. And just keep it on going.
You made a point just now about how when you post content, you don't really care about the views, you don't care about the comments, the negative ones. I've had tons of conversations with creators of all sizes who talked about, how sometimes it gets to them. Like when they see the comments and it really eats away at them, they get triggered by it. Or if they work so hard on a video and it doesn't perform as well as they had hoped, they just sit there and they internalize all of it and they're just constantly refreshing. Like, how's it doing now? How's it doing now?
Yeah.
Did you ever get caught in that, or was it always like that for you at the beginning where it's just like, you don't care?
In the beginning, I definitely cared. And I think it was just a sheer quantity of it. Like, I saw so much in the beginning, not like I had the worst channel ever, but I was definitely getting a lot of comments that were like, this guy sucks, these videos suck. And so actually I did something interesting. One holiday season, I did like sort of like I don't know how to put it, but I basically said, roast me. I ended up looping in my mom, my sister, and I probably shouldn't have done that, but I should have kept it on me. But I basically said like, the best roast of me gets something. I forgot if it was money or if it was like a giveaway or something. Yeah. And I got a ton of comments just roasting me. And I think that, honestly, seeing that many things and knowing people were like taking it that seriously, I was just like, okay. So I kind of became numb to it after that. Now, seeing the thing they said about my mom and my sister, that was a really bad idea and I shouldn't have done it. But and they took it a little bit more personally, right? And they're like, oh, like I
loop them in there.
I know that was bad, but we all go through those stages, right? And so like, content creation was very new to me back then. I wanted to quickly like get over some of my fears of like maybe the way I look or like how I play, how I speak, if I play too tight at the table, stuff like that. So I quickly got through that. And yeah, now every once in a while I see a comment that I almost respond to. Like there's been so many times in the past like year where I'll type something out and then I'm like, okay, wait a second, take a deep breath. Do I actually want to post this, or do I want to engage in this negativity? No. So I usually always delete it. And I try to make a point of only responding to the positive comments and reward those people. Yeah. The last thing I want to do is respond to all the negative ones and all the nice ones. And they're like, well, he's only responding to negative. Maybe they'll switch up and then they'll be like, hey, this guy sucks. And then I'll actually be like, no. And then
you don't want to trigger that kind of a response.
Exactly. Yeah. I think I do a pretty good job of managing all that.
What about balancing doing that and everything else that you want to do in your personal life?
Like,
because you've got a public persona at this point, right? Like the people that the persona that people see online, the Wolfgang that they see online, versus the one that exists offline? Is there a difference between the two?
Yes and no. No, in the sense that I'm the same person like I am in this interview and in my videos as I am. If you just caught me in the street, I'm still gonna be super cool, super nice. I'm not like super energetic here and then really quiet there. But yeah, I do have other hobbies that I don't show on the channel. I'm super into cold plunging right now. Would never put a shirtless picture of me on the channel, obviously. But stuff like that.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that for like a year, but more seriously the last like 2 months. So I signed up for like a membership to one of those like places where they have a infrared sauna, a cold plunge, and then this a vitamin C shower. It sounds kind of funny, but they basically have this like attachment that goes in the shower and it pours vitamin C. Like,
You're kidding me.
it's crazy. Yeah, it's good for your skin, and obviously vitamin C, we know it's good. You know, you don't get scurvy like the pirates. But yeah, so I've been doing that. I do like 40 minutes in the sauna, and then like about 7 minutes in the cold plunge at like 38 degrees. Feels great. It's like this when you come out of that, I just feel like I can do anything.
Yeah.
It's really good for my mental state too, because like after a long weekend of grinding, I go into that. I kind of have like my me time, and then back on the grind every week.
Do you find that it helps you when you're like prior? Do you do this intentionally prior to when you're about to play, after, during, or is it just whenever you get the opportunity to do it, you do it?
If I could do it like a few hours before every big session, I would, but it's just not feasible. Like here, I'm not going to go research a place in Vegas and go cold plunge before tomorrow. I'm just going to take a nice shower.
Right.
But yeah, when I'm in Dallas, which is where I live, I like to have a routine. I usually Monday to Thursday, I'll do that, and it feels great. But it's also a health thing too. Like, so it's mental for sure. It gets me into a good mental state, but also just, I know the benefits. Like sauna, it reduces so many illnesses down the line, and cold plunging, the same thing. Burns a lot of calories too. So if I'm not running a bunch on the weekend, which I don't do much cardio, it's nice just to sit in the sauna with my phone or watch some Netflix or something, and I know I'm losing like 500 calories.
Just sitting.
Yeah, it's great. It's kind of like a cheat code. Us poker players, we always find the easy way out of stuff. You know, we don't want to work too hard. So I think I definitely found that with the saunas.
Okay, so the poker thing, what was it about it that just suddenly made you go, I can actually do this seriously? Like you said that you just started doing it because you thought, okay, maybe this is a way that I could pay my bills. At what point in there did you go, I'm actually good at this, I want to pursue this further?
So I don't think I've ever like verbalized out loud like I am good at poker. I try to play my best and post videos that are entertaining, but also educate people. I do have a coach that makes me better, and I can say that compared to when I started, I'm leaps and bounds better. But I'd say like in the first 2 years of me like having a very small bankroll, like when I first started, it was less than $5,000, and I would just run it up, pay my rent, pay my car, groceries, and then kind of had to recycle that. So I knew like after a year or so of doing that, with no other income, I was good enough at least to beat the low stakes. So then taking the leap to like 2.5 or 5.10, that was more propelled by like my YouTube channel. So I had like YouTube income coming in and some sponsors and stuff. That helped make sure that if I had a bad hit, or if I knew that I wasn't supposed to be playing those stakes, but I wanted to do it for the videos, I could take a hit, right? Because I had like other income. But in the beginning, I knew I was good enough to beat the low stakes. It was, yeah.
Was there something about the psychology of playing poker that was initially difficult for you to overcome? Because like I play casually, and whenever I have conversations with poker players, the ones who play in tournaments regularly, a lot of it is sort of just being present, being consciously aware of what people are doing. And in my mind, I'm just constantly thinking, I'm like, I don't even know how to pay attention to all of that when all I'm thinking about is what I have in my hand, what's on the board, to let alone think about what 5 other people have.
Yeah.
How do you develop that skill set?
It's definitely something that takes time. I think as a content creator, that has given me a lot of skills too, because when I'm playing poker, I have all those same thoughts that you have, but then I also have, I have to take notes on every hand because my editor isn't at the table. So he needs to know exactly how each hand is going. So I'm on a notepad. People are always like, why are you texting so much? I'm like, I'm not. I have to literally recap every single thing that just happened in that past hand. Meanwhile, the cards don't stop coming. So I got to keep peeling cards, making sure I'm playing properly, making sure the camera is good and all that. But it's just multitasking comes with the job. So if you want to be a poker player, you got to be a good multitasker and also be able to be cognizant of everything going around you. YouTuber, same thing. I think the hardest skill to master, and I wouldn't even say I've mastered at this point, but it's not going on tilt, right? So like you lose a big pot and you don't just give away your chips in the next 30 minutes. Easier said than done, but that's one of those things that once you master it, it's so powerful because you just see every table I play at, you see that guy that loses a hand in a disgusting way. He shouldn't have lost. He had an 80% chance of winning. The guy spikes the river on him, and throughout the next 60 minutes, everyone's picking on him and his chips are gone. So if you can get through that, that's definitely one of the, people always ask me like, what should I be doing at low stakes? I'm like, well, try to practice good bankroll management. Don't bluff so much. You don't really need to. And, try not to be on tilt. Yeah.
So when you say being on tilt, just for people, like for context, people don't understand, like your emotions are running high at that point. You're ready to you're getting aggressive when you shouldn't be. You're not really playing your best way.
Exactly.
Which happens to us in basic everyday life sometimes.
Mm-hmm. It's really distancing yourself from your emotions and trying to make the best decision based on what's in front of you, not like what happened in the past.
So that's happening to you in real time. How do you distance yourself from those emotions? Those emotions are coming at you hard and fast and you're feeling them. So in that moment, how are you just sort of going, okay, I'm going to park these emotions over here because now I need to focus on everything else? Because that, like I just said, this can apply to whether you're in business, in a relationship, whatever the case may be. When those emotions are high, you got to know how to sort of park them for a moment so you can.
Yeah, it's super tough. I don't really know how I've gotten good at that. Maybe it's a flaw outside of poker because if people are always saying, oh, show your emotions more, it's good to cry or it's good to like do this stuff. It's like, okay, well, I think poker is honestly training me to distance myself from a lot of emotions. But specifically in poker, the way I'm good at it is I think about the equities. I'm a math guy, right? So if I know I made a good decision, I got it in good and he sucked out of me and won, I'm not going to be too mad at myself. I'm not going to be mad at the dealer. All that kind of stuff. Because I got it in good. So that's kind of how I deal with it. Now, if I make a bad play myself, now I might go on a small bit of tilt because I'm like, why did I do that? Immediately after putting in a bad call, I'll be like, crap, why did I do that? But
I'm curious, when you said people were telling you to show your emotions more, why?
I think just like people in my personal life, I'm very, like I said in the beginning of the interview, I'm not a polarized person. I'm more kind of in the middle. Definitely lean on the positive side. I think I exude positivity, but I think I definitely could be more talk about my emotions more. I think that's something that has become muted. I think because of poker, but I haven't talked about this, but I have signed up for online therapy to talk more about my emotions. Albeit with a random person, so I probably should be doing that with people close to my life. But I'm going to start with the therapist, talk more about my emotions, and be more comfortable about that, digging deep, and just kind of like going through those things.
Why do you think that's so uncomfortable for you?
I don't know. That's what we're digging up in the therapy. But I don't think it's a bad thing to not talk about emotions so much. But it's just for some reason, diving super deep into topics kind of gives me a little heebie-jeebies a little bit. I kind of like being like more surface level and like fun and like nothing's ever like too serious. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the fact that you're doing that, congrats on doing that, because firstly, that's self-awareness, and second, you're taking the step to actually do something. You're not just going, yeah, I'm kind of aware this is a thing, but I'm not going to do anything about it. You're actually going and doing something about it. So it's good. But I also agree with you. There are times and places where to show those emotions, right? It's not, whoever's willing to listen, suddenly you're just going to unload everything to them.
Yeah.
So when you're seeking a professional or even a friend, having those conversations actually helps. And I wonder if that would actually help you more when you're at the poker table, because at some point those emotions are going to boil to the surface, whether no matter how good of a handle you think you have on them.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you. Last thing I want to do, I think the reason I bottle a lot up, or at least with my friendships, is I want people to leave, like say I hang out with a friend for 3 hours. I want them to leave that in a happier mood. I want them to enjoy being with me right now. So I feel like me talking about stuff that I not want to talk about, but like that is like deeper. I don't know. It just changes the vibe. And like, I always just want to be like having fun and like making people happy and stuff. So
is that a people pleasing comment?
I'm definitely a people pleaser. Yeah.
Because I wonder if that just ultimately creates surface level friendships. Like they don't actually really get to know who you are.
I definitely say I'm instead of like, what's the phrase? It's like friends with everyone but friends with no one. I'm the opposite of that. I have like very deep friendships for sure, like long lasting ones. But at the same time, I am a people pleaser. Like I hardly ever start arguments myself, like all that kind of stuff.
Do you find that frustrates you though? Because I imagine there's a lot that you probably want to say at times that you're just like, nope.
I do a good job of biting my tongue sometimes. Like if I'm with a friend and I don't agree with something like a girlfriend's doing or I don't know, something like that. I know when to say things and when not to, or I'm not going to like overstep. But yeah, I mean, if it's a best friend, of course I'm going to speak my mind. But yeah, there's definitely a game to it for sure. It just depends like what your friendship is with that person, like where you guys bond and like what's important to you guys. Are you guys just like the chill friendship that's going on a Friday, Saturday night having fun? Or are you guys the ones that are like hanging out, during the week? I don't know. There's levels to certain things. But I've definitely called friends out before. Don't get me wrong.
Have you called yourself out?
In terms of like what?
Like just for your, like to you, like not necessarily in front of other people, but just like when you're doing something that you're like, this is not how I should be. Particularly if like something is upsetting you or bothering you and you're like, instead of dealing with it, you're like, no.
I'm trying to think. I don't really know if I probably haven't, no.
It's a hard exercise to do because it requires you to like really go, hey, you just messed up.
I'm really trying to think here if I've ever gotten mad at myself. I also don't have a great memory. That's one thing that is really bad. But no, I'm going to say no. I haven't called. Okay, I'll play that aside of caution there. Because then if I say yes, you're going to talk about it. And then I'm going to have to make something up that I don't remember. Yeah.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
I just dragged the pot like a champ. Game on.
Look at the camera, the lights, and the action. Look at the plan, look at the reaction. Look at the way that we taking advantage. You see me now look at me vanish. I see the look in your eyes. It be the look of surprise. That's just a part of the game. You gotta look for the prize.
That was one for the cameras, wasn't it?
Look at the way that we handle it.
I like your style,
I win!
Okay, so let's move back to the poker piece then. So when you play in these tournaments and you're sitting at the table and something doesn't go your way, you said that you're able to sort of parcel out those emotions, put them to the side.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever find doing that actually hurts you? Because now you may not necessarily be as emotionally invested in the outcome?
No, I think poker it can be a pretty emotionless game. Like you could just be playing the numbers and the exact strategy you should, and I think you'll do perfectly fine. I think that's why I think, like when they did that game with computers versus people, the computers were just so good. Like there's no emotion there, right? It's just pure GTO, exactly what you should be doing.
Sorry, GTO?
Game theory optimal.
Oh,
like
right.
a thing people say to play perfectly, you play GTO. Yeah.
And so you're playing in the big game on tour?
Playing tomorrow. Yep. That'll be the biggest game of my life. A few things, I guess. Obviously the stakes, but like one of the hardest things in poker as you move up in stakes is distancing yourself from the money and kind of taking the emotions out of it and making the right decision in each moment. Now, when you're talking about raising a Honda Accord on the flop and like calling off a G-Wagon on the river, that's a little bit hard, easier said than done, right?
Sure. You're making me nervous as you're talking about it.
Yeah, it's intense. And so that's like one of the things I'm a little bit nervous about is just the sheer size of it. Obviously, I'm not going to play in a game that I'm not, that's going to make me go broke if I lose all the money. Like, I can't do that and then not be able to post videos, right? So we're good in that aspect. However, just the sheer size of it, I don't want that to become a factor. I don't want to play too tight where someone raises me 20K and I make a fold that I shouldn't have, and now it's all over the TVs and people are like, Wolfgang's tight. That would be a bad outcome here, right? Because the goal of going on this is to have fun and to bring new people into my channel and promote the game of poker and not look like a complete tight ass, right? So Yeah.
Are you worried what other people think?
Only in that aspect, because I get that comment so much. Like in the beginning, when I was really trying to play, I was not taking many chances, right? And I think that's kind of stuck with me a little bit in super high. I don't know the right word for it, but in big pots, sometimes I err on the side of caution as opposed to aggression in gambling. So this is a big game. I'm probably gonna have a little bit of that come out as well, but I need to make sure to just also think about like what looks good on TV, and if there is a chance where I can gamble a little bit, then to do it.
Well, ultimately, you kind of want to make sure that you're having fun in the process, but it makes me...
Don't get me wrong. I love to gamble. I love to take these like random spots here and like do this like crazy stuff. Like I called, but for different stakes, right? Because like even like for a 60, so this crazy thing I did where I called 6-9 offsuit for $6,800. That's a lot of money to call with a really trash hand. And I'll do that in like that kind of game, right? Because that's more like my bread and butter. Now, am I going to call like a 50K thing with 6-9 off? Definitely not. So that's the kind of the thing I'm thinking about for tomorrow. Like, because there's only 6 people on the table, you have to play more hands. And if there were 9, it's just a strategy thing. There's going to be some interesting dynamics for sure, where I'm going to be put in some uncomfortable spots with some trash hands. So we'll see how it turns out.
Is there anyone in particular you're not looking forward to playing with or against?
I'm looking forward to playing against everyone. However, in terms of just like how good they are, probably Jason Kuhn. Dude's a legend. But that being said, his name is iconic, so I got to play with him. And if he takes some money from me, then he does. That's the tax, I guess.
Is there a way, like, do you have a strategy for how you're going to separate that nervousness from the moment? Because some nervousness is good. It means you care. But too much of it can really impede how you think and how you process things. And again, all of these, while we're talking about poker, these lessons apply to everything in life, right? Is there a strategy that you do or apply where, you know, in this case, you're nervous, it might become too much and you're like, okay, I got to tailor that back a little bit?
I shouldn't let myself get to the point where I get too nervous. I think that's just the mental side of it, right? So I've been in these spots before. I'll tell myself that. And sure, the money is 4 times bigger than I've played for before. But as long as I believe in my talents and in the goal of me going on it, I don't think I'll get to a point where it will be uncontrollable. Yeah, maybe little things here, palm sweating, maybe the pulse is going a little bit more. I'll for sure have to wear a hoodie, you know, in certain spots. But it won't get uncontrollable. Yeah.
Is there advice you would share with, let's say, a newer player who has aspirations to play at the level that you're playing at?
You gotta really love it, right? Because in order to be the best, you gotta put in the work, and you have to study like 4 times as much as you play.
So when you say study, what exactly are you studying?
So there's different ways to do it. You can watch live streams of other people and just kind of see what they do. You can get a coach. You can play online and then download all those hands and evaluate them through like computer software, or a coach will do that for you. Experience is a good way to quote unquote study, just playing more volume. A lot of the older players, like 70 plus age, they don't study at all. I mean, I can't speak for all of them, but most of them don't study. They just have seen so much, so they know what to do in certain spots that pretty closely mimics what perfect poker is, because they've just seen hundreds of thousands of situations.
Is there a particular player that you look up to that you've learned a lot from?
A lot of different people. I mean, my icon growing up was Tom Dwan. I really like Daniel Negreanu's table presence. I think I try to embody a lot of that, and his hand reading ability, super cool.
I interviewed Daniel and we had a full-length conversation about that exact concept you shared earlier, not to get, when you get tilted or if you get upset by something, like you really got to control your emotions. He talked about, I forget which tournament he played, where he, I guess, messed up something and he knows he messed up and he couldn't get over it. And it ended up costing him the whole thing because he started off with his ego being like up here. These were his words. He's like, my ego was really high. And I thought that I was going to do much better. And when I wasn't playing as well as I could, it got to me and I ended up losing everything.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear that you look up to him, but you also seem to apply the same.
Yeah. I look up to him in the sense that he's a great ambassador for poker. And as my channel has grown, I understand like the power that comes with it, and also the responsibility too, right? So a lot of people are saying that I'm getting them into poker. And so I need to be a good ambassador. I need to be like super positive. I need to, not have like these outbursts at the table that other people are known for. That's their image. I'm trying to be more just like an example. I don't think people really need to look up to me. Like I want to be like that guy, like a poker playing YouTuber. But I think I'm doing a good job of just kind of bringing new people into the game and just showing them like the fun side of poker, as opposed to like headphones, glasses, like all that serious stuff, like trying to just squeeze out every bit of equity. I'm more showing them like what poker can be if you're just trying to have fun.
Do you feel a heavy amount of responsibility because you have that channel where now people are looking up to you and you represent, the fact that some of these people are jumping into poker, wanting to play poker, and now you carry that weight?
Yeah, a little bit. I think most of the weight on me comes from like me when I started the channel 5 years ago. If I would look back at that person and be like, we made it, we're here now, that person would say, keep going. So yeah, I think that's where it comes, like, keep going, keep pressing. Like, okay, you have a lot of subs, you're doing a lot of cool things, but there's always more. Like, there's new ways to innovate. There's new games to show. There's new people to play with, new tournaments, all that kind of stuff. Like, don't be complacent, because like that's not what's gotten me to this point.
You talked about positivity earlier. Just earlier today, we had a conversation with Rob Mariano, who's also known as Boston Rob. And in that conversation I had with Daniel Negreanu, they both talked about constantly being positive, positive. It helps them get forward. It helps them move forward as they're playing through tournaments and whatnot. You've said something similar, and I'm very fascinated and curious to understand why that's so important, but also how you do that, especially when you've got so much else going on.
How do I say so positive?
Yeah.
I think it's just in my DNA. I love life. I think we shouldn't take it for granted. There's more to life than just kind of being in a hamster wheel. And I'm trying to show people, like, not exactly you need to follow my footsteps here, but you should do what you love, and then good things will come. Like, even if I wasn't making decent money and I wouldn't have the followers, I still love this. I love making videos that people want to watch, at least, or that I want to watch. And then I would keep posting, like, even if I wouldn't get the views. So that's why people should watch my videos, is because I'm making them really for me. And then I'm stoked that other people enjoy them so much. But in terms of just being positive all the time, I don't know where that comes from. I guess now it's easy to look at him, people look at me and be like, okay, it makes sense why he's positive. He's got a lot of good things going for him, a lot of good opportunities. But I don't think it really comes from that. I think it's just who I am. I've always been just like stoked on life. And if something goes wrong, you just kind of brush it off and on to the next.
When was the last time you had a bad day?
When my dad died.
How long ago was that?
It's my emotions. 3 months ago.
I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Can I ask you about him?
Yeah, but you might not get through this interview. Yeah.
What was the...
Actually, I'd probably prefer not, because then I'm just going to be bawling. Yeah.
That's okay.
Probably the one thing that I can't hold my emotions back from.
Okay. How do you get through your bad days?
That's a good question. Probably a mix of recently I've been trying to keep myself busy with things that give me enjoyment. So I've been going to college football games, making more blogs, traveling to new spots, meeting new people. I really like building new connections and new experiences. I get bored with the same thing over and over. Other than that, just like doing things that make you happy. So like a certain meal, I really like certain types of foods that will like get me out of a rut, or some fresh air, cold plunges. They always seem to snap me out of it, literally.
Yeah, they have that effect.
Yeah, just a mix of just like doing things that make you happy, obviously, is the easy answer to what gets you out of a rut, I guess.
Is there something you're not doing that you would want to do?
Not right now. Right now, kind of, if something pops in my mind, I'll go do it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, not just give you a surface level answer. No, I think right now I'm doing almost everything that I'd like to do. I'm a good balance between family and work. If something sounds cool to do on the weekend, like a big event, I'm pretty much going to it.
How do you balance the family life and everything you have going on? Because the stuff that you're doing between the content, the poker tournaments, the various side projects and businesses, like that just constantly eats up more and more of your time. Now you got to intentionally carve out time for family, for friends, for relationships, for you time. How are you balancing that? How do you navigate those things?
That's one of the hardest things I'm trying to do right now. And also a reason I signed up for the therapy is to figure out a better way to have like a work-life balance. So in my mind, I do a decent job. Other people have expressed there could be less time away from home and less grinding and more kind of a balance. And some of my like friends in poker, like I was hanging out with my buddy Rampage, Ethan, today. And he's expressed an interest in the future of having more downtime, more just like enjoying what he's built kind of thing, as opposed to continue to grind. Now, me personally, I'm really competitive. I want to keep going. I love what I do. So that's going to be harder for me just to turn that switch down all the way to like 10%. But that being said, I could tone it back a little bit. I think I do go pretty crazy. Like if people have been watching my Instagram stories for the past few weeks, it's like every single day I'm in like almost a different city. I'm never anywhere for like more than 2 or 3 days. I'm just always trying to do stuff, make new videos. My DMs are just flooded with people inviting me to other cool games like baseball teams, football teams, professional sports guys that are just like, I watch your videos, let's play. I just want to show those videos. I think it's like awesome that they want me to like showcase their game on the internet. So I feel like this responsibility to do it, but also I love it.
So if you know that you need to find better balance, what steps are you taking to make that happen?
I'm not doing a good job, and I'll be honest. I'm saying that I need to do that, but then like this next week, I was supposed to have Monday to Wednesday off before I go on a trip on Thursday. And I just found out that I need to do something on Monday and Tuesday, so now I'm only have Wednesday off. And instead of being like, it's just such a good opportunity that I don't want to say no. So I really shouldn't.
Do you have a hard time saying no?
Yes, I do. But
I do too. So I can sympathize with.
I definitely have some FOMO, like fear of missing out, and a really good phrase or quote that I heard like, I don't know, 8 years ago really stuck with me, which is like, say yes more. And so like a lot of people will find reasons to not do things. Like, no, I can't because I worked all day and I'm tired. No, I can't because money's not a good excuse, because that's probably a good excuse, but I can't because, I did that yesterday or I'm not feeling it. But what I like to do is say yes and then figure out, just say yes and put myself in the deep end, essentially. Like if I don't have the energy to do something, but a friend really wants me to go do something, I'm probably going to say yes. So it's kind of like this balance of like doing those things and then also like taking time for myself and the people I care about. But I'm usually a yes sayer. Mm-hmm. It's just, there's so many cool things that have come because I've taken a chance and I did something when I didn't want to.
Are you worried that they won't be there if you said no?
No, but it's like so like even in this past year, I can think of probably like 5 or 10 times that I was like on the fence on going on a trip, but I just pushed myself. I'm like, let's just do it, right? I'll get sleep when I come back, whatever. And on that trip, I met 3 or 4 cool people that I still message, or there'll be something down the line that comes from those people I met on that trip. Mm. So then going forward, it's hard for me to be like, okay, maybe I don't need to do this one, because it's like, what if I meet someone cool on that trip? Because I did like 7 times this year. I literally met, like last year I met someone at a football game I wasn't going to go to because my friend bailed on the trip. I ended up driving all by myself 7 hours. And to Mississippi. I met a guy there who introduced me to another guy who then 6 months later told me that one of his friends' dad has a private jet and wants to fly me out for a poker game. If I wouldn't have gone, and it was one of the coolest experiences of my life, right? Playing poker in a hangar with a jet and like a helicopter. It was awesome. Like it was super cool. And people still ask me about the game all the time. But if I wouldn't have driven 7 hours by myself after my friend bailed on me, I wouldn't have met that guy who introduced me to this guy. Yeah. It's just like this chain effect. It's like sometimes you just gotta do stuff, and it's like, then that's like the coolest things. They come out of like nothing,
So the game that's coming up tomorrow, you said, what's the percentage between nervous and excited?
It's pretty much like 75-25 at this point. Excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. The nervousness is just like a little bit of pre-big game anxiety, right? It's like, okay, thinking about certain things. But I've played so many streams before that I think as soon as I get under the lights and I'm at the table, chips are in front of me and the card, I'm touching the cards, I'll be good. Yeah.
Is there a technique that you do that gets you really zoned in? Like you talked about some of those little intricate things where it's like when you're sitting there, you got the lights, you touch the cards, like you're really getting present. Is there a technique that you apply to stay present?
Not really. I think breathing is important though. Maybe I'll take a few deep breaths and just kind of like remind myself where I'm at. But no, I kind of just push through it. I'm not really doing anything super special. There's no sauce here. Like, yeah.
You said you had a coach.
Mm-hmm.
What's something that you learned from the coach that you still apply today? Because someone, again, who sees the YouTube channel, sees you playing in these games, would probably not assume that you've got a coach, that you work with someone. One, why is that important? And two, what's the biggest thing you've learned from them?
Yeah, I think having a coach is definitely important, even as a YouTuber where most of my income comes from YouTube. It's still, as I push myself through the stakes, having a coach is important because they'll keep you grounded. They'll also remind you where you started, right? When you started working with them, like where, your ground floor was. But also like as I play bigger and bigger, the money does matter. Just knowing that I have the right tools and fundamentals to like get me through certain spots and know that I'm playing it correctly is massive. Because it's one thing to like give away like $200 or $300 in a smaller game, and then $2,000 or $3,000 or 20 or 30 in a massive game. So having a coach definitely helps you prepare for those bigger spots. Something that I've learned from my coach Alvin. Definitely a lot of stuff, but it's all like nerdy things like don't fold don't call, you got a 3-better fold, like certain spots I know I should be 4-betting ace queen off like more than I used to. It's like things that unless your viewers are all poker players, they won't really care about. But yeah, just more on like a basic level. Just when I make a good hand, go for value, bet thin on the river. Bluff only in spots where I can pick up additional equity on the turn in the river. Don't just go for some crazy bluff for TV. And just, yeah, he just always reminds me like to play good poker because I don't always need to put on a show. Like my shorts and my vlogs will, with editing and the cartoon aspect of it and the music and stuff, that'll be the show. I can play solid poker sometimes and I don't have to worry about like trying to do too much and let my editor kind of make the video into like a masterpiece. Yeah.
2 more questions for you. What's one lesson that you've taken from playing poker at this level that you apply in your daily life that works for you, helps you move forward, helps you succeed?
I think in poker, when you either win a big pot, lose a big pot, you always just, the next cards are coming at you, right? So you have to just kind of almost forget what happened and move on to the next. Obviously, you can pick up things around the table, how certain people played certain hands. So you don't want to forget that. But if you want a big pot, it's important to come back down to the middle and just be composed, right? Meanwhile, if you lost a big pot, you don't want to be on tilt. You want to come back up to the middle. So I think in life, I've definitely noticed myself doing a better job. I've always been pretty good at it, but I think through poker, I've gotten better at keep putting one foot in front of the next, right? If something bad happens, there's a better day ahead. If something good happens, just be cautious because something could happen, right? And just never getting too down on myself about like, I don't know, anything. Like if a video does bad, whatever, I'll post another one. Next one will do good. You just got to kind of stay more like level.
Yeah. And if you can go back in time and talk to young Alex, give him one piece of advice on this journey, this process, before he started all of this, something you know today that you wish you knew when you were starting, what's that piece of advice you'd give him?
Specifically with YouTube, consistency is key. I would tell myself not to miss postings. I think there was like 8 months where I stopped posting for a little bit. It was through COVID. There was other stuff going on there, but consistency is key. Always enjoy what you do because it shows. And never take yourself too serious, probably. It's just, just have fun with it.
Thanks so much, Alex.
Yeah, appreciate it.
It was great.
Thank you.
Wish you the best of luck on the big game.
Yeah.
I'll be rooting for you.
Thank you. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun time.
I bet. Honestly, like just thinking about playing in a game like that makes me nervous. My hands got sweaty as you were talking. I'm like, I can't, imagine betting a G-Wagon on something. But honestly,
I've yet to do it, but I use that reference now because I anticipate tomorrow I might be in a spot where I'll have to call off a G-Wagon, or maybe I'll even have a good hand, hopefully, and be able to vet that. And
yeah,
maybe I'll do that in the vlog.
Positive thinking.
Instead of kind of saying how much I bet, I'll just say, and Jason Kuhn raised me a G-Wagon.
Yeah, exactly.
Come back to this.
Well, then I wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody.